Right, fellas, listen up.
I need to do it again now, boys.
Fellas!
And we're back again for another episode of the Not So Old Boys podcast. And this week we're going to talk about anxiety and depression. I'm pleased to welcome back the original 5 from the first episode. So to my left, I'm going to introduce to Adam Benwell.
Hey guys, good to be back.
And Lloyd Rees.
Alright, hi guys, glad to be back.
And Rob Benson.
Hello everyone, looking forward to it again.
And back by popular demand, Stephen Pearce.
Yeah, hi guys, thanks for that.
And as always, I'm Chesney Jennings. This week we're going to talk about, obviously, anxiety and depression. And I want to know, what are the most common misconceptions about anxiety and depression in men?
That's a good question. Misconceptions. Probably that men originally didn't get it. Probably that originally lots of people said that men didn't suffer from mental health illnesses, which would include obviously anxiety and depression. I think for a long time it was seen as like a feminine mental health illness to get, but I don't know about anyone else's misconceptions.
I don't know if you call it feminine. I think it's more a case of you maybe be deemed weak if you spoke about how you felt, which I think is still quite prominent now. You know, we might be able to talk about it, but there's still definitely things we don't tell each other. Things you want to keep to yourself because you don't want to be, you know, looked on a certain way by other people.
I think it's also about not wanting to get treated differently, I think, as well. I think people might be more open about saying it, but then worry that if they say they are X, then their friends or family might then worry about them more, and that might then make it worse.
Do you think you're perceived differently when you say that you suffer from anxiety?
I think in the workplace, absolutely. I think there's definitely like you have to declare it and stuff to your employer. But I think if one of my staff members said it to me, I'd then be thinking, I've got to be really careful with not overworking them, and it's really hard to then manage and not feel like you're treating them differently.
Yeah, and I think it's you don't want to be like. I think it's a bit embarrassing to tell people that it was the chair. Yeah, I think it can be seen as quite. A lot of men, I think, are probably quite embarrassed to tell other people because, again, they don't want to be seen as vulnerable. And again, like you said, I think if you were to mention it, quite a lot of men are quite proud in the sense that they don't want other people to be pitying them. It's just sort of like them times that you want to ask for help, you don't know how it's going to be reciprocated.
I think there's this perception that depression equals fragility. And I don't think that's the case. Depression equals sadness. It equals a feeling of hopelessness. But it's not a fragility. People do incredible things whilst, diagnosed with depression, whilst being treated for depression. It's not like, there's one thing that's, one thing is going to set them off at any time that you need to walk over eggshells over people. And I think the fear of that, the fear of people seeing you that way, is what makes you not want to talk about it.
I was actually going to say, I think probably the biggest misconception is that it doesn't happen to many people. I think it's very rife. It's just not as widely spoken about.
Or diagnosed necessarily as well. Yeah. If you don't take yourself to a medical professional, it's not on the record.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think when I was talking about misconceptions, it's a scale. It's not like you're depressed, therefore you are suicidal, therefore you are, you're completely unable to, there's a huge scale of what depression is. There are people who are suffering with sort of minor depression that does need treatment, and it's so important to get it treated at that stage and talk about it before it does, because it will become something that is, can be more associated with suicidal ideation, self-harm. Depression is a huge, it's one umbrella term for a huge, amount of conditions. And I suppose I can say that for myself. I have been diagnosed with it reluctantly. I will say that story. I insisted for years that I wasn't. But I never wanted to hurt myself. I've never had any inclination to hurt myself. I've never had any inclination to end my own life. So I thought I was fine. I haven't got any of that stuff. The fact that I struggled to get out of bed in the morning, struggled to, do everyday things like return parcels to Amazon, things that require even the slightest hint of effort, or filling in forms. That was the other thing. I just could not bring myself to fill in a form.
So lazy.
Do you think that's got anything to do with your dyspraxia, though?
In theory, that's a difficult question because
Have you got dyspraxia?
yeah.
I just thought you were bad at football and sports in general.
No, yeah.
Oh, I see. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
He's good at rugby.
I never saw him play rugby, so
Yeah,
I can't.
He can't now because, as he told me the other day, his shoulders now fall out.
I'm that poorly coordinated.
Both
My
shoulders.
shoulders dislocate. Yeah, my coordination is so poor that my shoulders cannot stay in their sockets.
Yeah.
Can you tell us very quickly
Yes, mate.
some of the ways your shoulders have come out of their sockets?
I mean, what do you want to know?
I think he's asking, has vigorous masturbation caused
Never,
dislocation?
never, ever, ever.
Okay.
Because using two hands is more stability, gives you more stability.
I was going to say, sorry, back to Lloyd's depression.
But yeah, do you think that your depression could be linked towards your dyspraxia?
It's difficult because we're all made up of so many different aspects, of so many different elements. Has dyspraxia led to other issues that have then led to depression? Then possibly self-esteem issues, for example. My dyspraxia is what led to me being very frustrated as a child, being very angry as a child. My parents had a book, I still remember to this day, called The Explosive Child, because they couldn't figure out how to manage my frustrations because I was furious. I couldn't keep up in school because I was writing 7 words a minute. That's how slowly I write because of my dyspraxia. So that led to me going to a private school, which then led to me being bullied, which then led to self-esteem issues, which perhaps did lead to depression. I don't know. It's really difficult to reflect on something when you're currently in the effect. You know, it's like having a conversation with an addict and asking them about their addiction. They can speak with, you see these, recovering addicts, and they can speak with such clarity and such honesty about why they did things, but when they're in the throes of it, it's very difficult to be able to reflect on something. To reflect is to look back, and I'm not looking back. I'm still having to have treatment for this and still having to take my bloody medicine every day.
When did you start getting treatment for it?
So I started, it depends what you mean by treatment, like medicinal treatment.
Whatever treatment you want to go with.
So
I don't know what treatment you're having.
It was self-esteem issues, really. I was chatting to my dad. I was just and they've always, my parents know me pretty well. I've never been a particularly confident person, and this is on the football pitch. You can see that because I don't want to mess up. I grew into it.
That's
A bit
a
like
slightly different
Rob going
thing.
for the headers.
Well, no, as we established, that's
That's
rock
a
grounded
skill
for a year.
yeah. That's a skill issue.
Yeah, that's skill matchmaking. Don't put it me.
But it's that fear, isn't it? It's no, I think it is a confidence thing because there's people watching, and you feel like you're on display, and they're like, Lloyd, shout for the ball. Yeah, but I don't want it. So why would I shout for it?
Not wanting to mess up though is like, I think that's just a fairly human nature. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
but it's
not to do that.
not wanting to mess up. It's the fear and that I will mess up.
You don't even want to put yourself in a position
I don't
to
want
mess
to even
up.
put myself in a position to mess up because
said
it's
that.
that belief. That's what I should say. Sorry, it's not. It's the belief that I will mess up.
Or a
That's
lack
the
of
difference.
belief that you will be able to.
Yeah, and then there's hope, and like every ball I kick is a bit of hope, and then like I hope it's going to go that way. And there've been times where they said, "Oh, good pass, Slide." I didn't have the heart to tell them it was a really heavy touch.
That's okay. I've heard you deliver the De Bruyne-esque cross to the back post on Saturday.
We're coming to that. That's later. That's going to be a whole topic on that cross.
Do you think, excuse my ignorance if this is, do you think you can be depressed for a while without, say you go for a breakup,
Yeah.
do you think you can be depressed for a while
I'll
and
answer-
then,
yeah,
and then
I'll answer this.
come out of it
Yeah. I like this.
without seeking
Yeah, of
any
course you
sort
can.
of...
Yeah, so I before I started working at the school I'm at now, I was working at another school, secondary school, in Southwark, well known, not well run. And I went for a period where I thought I wasn't really enjoying working there. But that was fine. I identified that I wasn't enjoying it there. And I wanted to look for opportunities elsewhere, promotions, all natural part of teaching and changing careers, nothing untoward. And then I went through a period where I tried to get other jobs, and then one of the times the head teacher refused my reference without telling me why, and then cancelled my leave of absence request to go to an interview at another school on the morning of the interview, and basically just fucked me around for a month or two to make it really difficult for me to leave. So I then eventually applied for the job that I've got now, and it was all very quickly done, and I managed to get the job. And since working at the school now, I've really, really enjoyed it and I've been really happy. But there was a period from sort of May-ish till the July of that summer, and probably even longer, where, because of the way the school had treated me, I was finding it really, really difficult to even, like you say, get up and go to work. And that's not really me. Like, I do just get up and go to work, and it's just, even if you're tired, you just carry on going and carry on going. And it got to a day where they were going to call me in for a probation review meeting to consider my job at the school, even though I've been working there for nearly 2 years, right? Well past the probationary period. And they were going to try and make up some bollocks about how they had extended it, but they hadn't told me, and all these stress and pressures that they were going to try and find some way to fuck me over. So that sort of initial overwhelming sort of fear, anxiety, panic on the day of being at work, I was like, I need to go home and not think about this for a minute. Initially, I thought I'll try and play the game a little bit, and I'll call the doctor and I'll just say some stuff, and they'll sign me off for a period of time, and that'll be my 2 things up to the school. Yeah, fuck you, I'm gonna take some time off. So I called up the doctor and sort of described how I was feeling, and at the time I thought I was milking it a little bit and putting it on to try and make sure they definitely sign me off, which they then did for 2 weeks. And then the 2 weeks went by, and I barely left the flat, barely got out of bed, was just empty for like 2 weeks.
Was there any part of that when you used to not like have a day off of school or something like that, and you wouldn't want to go to the shops because, like, in the evening, because you thought people might see you
no,
out
so
working?
It wasn't that at all. Like, if you're talking in the middle of summer, it was like 30-something degrees. You don't be sat in a stuffy room. Like, I'd happily walk down to Beckenham and get a coffee. Nobody's going to see me at 11 a.m. But I just didn't have the enthusiasm to do anything. Like, I didn't even really watch TV. I just laid around a lot and then would come in and talk to Martin for 10 minutes and go back in again. And then it got to the end of the 2 week period, and I got signed off again for another 2 weeks, and then another 2 weeks. And the whole time in my head, I was telling myself, oh, this is me getting back at the school. But I was doing nothing. Like, I wasn't doing any football because it was the end of the football season that had come and finished. I didn't make use of the time. I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't really like.
Did you feel
going
guilty
outdoors.
about sort of sitting there and not doing anything?
No, I just felt like nothing. Like, I didn't even go out on a Friday night and have a few beers with friends and stuff, like, to try and cheer myself up. I just did nothing for like 4 or 5 weeks, and it just went on and on and on.
Time was just passing.
And it literally was just passing by, and then it got to like this deadline, this date that they had set, where they were going to then terminate my contract at my current school before the summer had finished. Even though I was entitled to be employed and be paid over the summer holidays, they were going to try and find a way to do that. And then I had to have like a probation. I had to have this review meeting, having now been employed at the school for like 20 months. And I sat there on the table having an online meeting with them, with like my senior manager and the head of the school and the executive head and the HR lady, and they sat there and they tried to make up all this shit about all these things I had apparently done, all these concepts apparently happened, which just weren't true and hadn't happened. And then basically established that they were going to fire me as of the beginning of August, so without pay for a whole of the summer. Martin was obviously like, we used to joke a little bit and be like, oh, how you feeling? I'm like, oh, I'm feeling a bit sad today. And he'd be like, oh, okay. But actually, when I then went back to work and continued a normal life that wasn't sitting indoors for 3 months straight, I was like, wow, that actually wasn't, like, I wasn't putting it on. I barely spoke to anyone. Like, I didn't call anyone, didn't text anyone, didn't really play any Xbox. Just 2 to 3 months of my life just happened without me even noticing they had happened. And you look back and I thought, well, shit, clearly I actually was feeling pretty fucked up.
Did you need that time, or do you wish maybe at that, like, maybe someone reached out and said maybe you need to actually see someone?
Maybe.
I mean, 2-3 months sitting on your own with little to no contact.
It was just, life just sort of happened. And I like, it was only sort of towards the end of the summer when I was in, like, I think we went on holiday to Croatia, and that was like, oh, this is fun again. Enjoying your life is all about, you know, seeing your friends and stuff, and then getting outdoors. And then it sort of all, it was weird. It was like, you know, rush of emotion came back. I was like, oh, got to feel right now. And it was really weird. It was Yeah, I can't explain it to anyone
There you go.
who hasn't been through it. And you're nodding exactly because clearly you've been through it. But that to answer your question,
me-
right now, feel right as rain.
So there's a word in Welsh which is hwyl, which doesn't really literally translate into English. It means, if you translate it, if you look it up in a dictionary, it means fun, but you use it.
The hoil inside you.
The oomph is the nearest, that
joie de
get-go, that
vivre.
up and go, that joie de vivre. And that's just what you just don't have. Well, I didn't anyway. I just don't. And it means that how it manifests itself with me is I don't want to do anything new. So I will watch the same TV shows I've seen before. I will play the same games I've played before. When I go on holiday, I'm miserable for the first couple of days because it's new and it's and everything. Finding the toilet takes effort, if you're in sort of like knowing which door to exit from. It's just that fear of phobia.
Anxiety.
Of putting effort. Yeah, anxiety is provoked by something new, which is devastating because my job is a huge factor of why I feel this way. But the thought of something so new, doing all those forms, is just.
You were saying about your story about you. Could you snap out of depression? And for me, when I was 21, the worst things in the world happened to me all in one go. So I'd moved to a new city, so I'd moved to Birmingham.
That would do it, yeah.
There it is.
My long-term girlfriend at the time, so after had stayed in Wales, and I was working as an electrician there, and the day she broke up with me was the day my van got robbed from all my tools. The same day, and that was the same day as my engine on my van blew up, and that all happened in one go.
Wait, your van got robbed?
And then the
And
engine.
then
And then I was
driving,
and then I decided to leave Birmingham to go to my auntie's
Good idea.
in Somerset because I needed to be with someone that wasn't close to me but was also close to me, if that makes
Close
sense.
enough.
And as I was driving down the M5, my van just blew up. The engine just went.
So the contents of your van got robbed?
Yes.
I was thoroughly confused.
No.
You thought the engine got robbed.
So he thought the van got robbed.
The van got robbed.
And then Chase was
like,
just driving down the road.
and then the engine blew up. I was like, good. Seriously, I'm right.
You thought he robbed his own man.
Unfortunately, that would have been good insurance claim. But no, all my tools went, so my livelihood was gone.
Are you an electrician?
I'm a qualified electrician, yeah.
Why the fuck have we not known this?
No.
Okay.
Not
In Wales.
Not, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He screwed a few light bulbs in.
So, from my understanding, and this is not me trying to be funny, he made the tea.
I did a 3-year apprenticeship in teaming. But yeah, no, I am a qualified electrician.
And now he sells spunk cups.
Yeah. Great job.
Don't get it.
But no, and seriously, I went down to my aunt, and then she picked me up because the car went for scrap. I lost my job, so I couldn't even do work anywhere else because I had no tools. My girlfriend obviously at the time had left me, so that was a big.
Was this the
empty hole.
girlfriend that you met that you told about in the story before when you were on a night out?
Yes.
Ah, full circle. You see, I
Yeah.
remember these things.
And then I think I stayed in Somerset for about 3 or 4 months, and as you were saying, Rob, I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't do anything, and luckily my auntie had a dog, and that became my. It's not sympathy dog, but what are they called?
Therapy dog.
Therapy dog. That's
Yeah,
it.
it's very
And
powerful.
where that dog just did everything with me. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to do anything. Didn't want to make friends. I just didn't want to see anyone. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, just something clicked, and then all of a sudden, it was gone. I was like, I can get out of bed, and then I would go running or whatever like that. But it just went away.
Yeah.
It did take a long time, but it did just go away. And I don't know if that was because of the heartbreak and then the anger of somebody stealing my livelihood, then the anger of then my car blowing or my van blowing up, and then I don't know if that all just came together, but I got over it. I thought, it's gone. And then about I came back to home to Wales, and about 6 months later, it hit me all over again that I've got to start again. I had to buy all my tools again. I had to go through that. Even though it wasn't my fault, I had to go through that whole thing of the insurance claim.
Yeah,
I had to
what a
prove that I bought...
Killer, isn't it?
I had to prove that I owned my tools.
Yeah.
I had to prove that they were used. I had to prove that they were stolen. So what was I supposed to do? Take a picture of an empty van. My tools are there, now they're gone.
Yeah.
So that in itself I had so much anxiety of just filling out, as you said, those forms to prove that I was...
I know, and it's that feeling of like, you're not a bad person, you're not making this up, and someone's almost like not believing you and they're distrusting you're saying these things, and you have to go through the whole process of it, and then at the end you end up being the one that gets punished anyway. Because I don't know about you, but when my car got stolen, my insurance went up, and it got stolen at the beginning of the car price rise during COVID.
Oh yeah.
So it got nicked, and then I had to buy a new car, but the car that I had to buy had gone up in price. Yeah. Like just in the time that my car being stolen, cars were going up by like hundreds of pounds a week. So I couldn't get the car that I had before, because the car that I had before was now worth $5,000 more than it got paid out on insurance, and prices were just going up and up and up and up. And you end up with that long-term cost of now my insurance, even 2.5 years on, I still have to pay an extra like £500 a year because somebody stole my car, which was parked outside my house.
Tash got run over last year.
Yeah.
And
really?
They didn't do anything. Yeah.
Outside the house.
Yeah.
After-
Gave the license plate number and the colour of the
They
car. And
stopped, made sure they hadn't killed her, and then drove away. I don't think she had the
gave
number
a bit
plates,
of a plate,
but she gave this area, this time,
like
this,
coloured car,
these
description of the car.
witnesses.
Remember, I had to go to
Nothing.
the hospital and pick her up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew she was all right because I obviously found out about this, and Ches, good man that he is, went to grab her, and
Not off the street.
yeah.
He's like, you're mine now.
In my van with the blown up
a free
engine.
woman.
Free woman. Oh my god. Cut that.
That's the day he gifted her to me. And I knew she was okay because I was beside myself. I was in my uniform running to try and get to the other hospital because obviously she'd gone to the Peru. I was working at King's. And the quickest way there was a bus. I couldn't get an Uber, so I jumped on the bus. And I was on my way, and then I was outside this bus stop. I don't know, you guys will know which Domino's it is better than I do. And I rang her, and she rang me, and she said, look, I'm okay, we're coming out, we've been discharged, Ches is going to drop me home. I was like, okay, look, I'm getting off the bus. Can you meet me outside this Domino's?
I do know the Domino's, yeah.
So outside the bus stop Domino's,
Yes,
so I was like, yeah,
got it,
fine,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
fine. So I'm like, right, I'm going
Great
to wait outside this Domino's. So I got off, a little bit eased of anxiety. I got a phone call back from her about 2 minutes later. I was like, hello? Oh yeah, can you get me a large margarita with sweet chili peppers and pineapple? And that's as
you said the girl that orders
that's
that?
absolutely what she orders.
I'm now
Sweet-
depressed at the thing.
Oh,
Riquito sweet chili peppers and pineapple on a thin and crispy base.
Oh, I've got anxiety just to
That
order.
is
That's horrendous.
Think how I feel. Ugh, I have to live with that.
Wait, what is it?
It's Riquito sweet chili peppers and pineapple on like a tomato base.
If you're a subscriber and you like Hawaiian pizzas, unsubscribe.
We don't have any.
Unless you'd like to sponsor us.
With a pineapple pizza.
We also can't afford you to not be following us. So please don't unfollow us.
Please disregard.
We've just paid lots of money for some new microphones, so.
Do you think that depression is too easily diagnosed?
No. I think
it's too easily self-diagnosed.
yes.
Actual diagnosis
That's a
is
fair
very different. I mean, there's a lot of people that will be like, oh, I'm depressed because my ASOS order didn't turn up in time. And it's like, you're not. But people band around words like that all the time.
But that's not a diagnosis. That's just it's taking lightly a medical issue. And from my point, as I say, my diagnosis came very reluctantly. I didn't want to say it because of the connotations attached with being depressed. And Tash used to say, Lloyd, you are depressed. No, I'm not. I'm just sad. That was always my response. I'm just a bit sad. I'm just a bit tired.
Yeah.
And it came about when I was chatting, and I say self-esteem has always been an issue. And I think what you were saying, earlier about can it be a reaction to an external thing in our environment? Then yes, you remove that external thing in the environment, the bad job, you remove that thing that is causing you depression, and perhaps you've got a quick fix. But when it's internal, when the reason for my depression is me,
Yeah, you can't remove yourself.
remove myself.
Biologically, imbalance of chemicals in the brain, isn't it? And once it sort of starts happening, it's very hard to
And I can only speak for myself. I do believe that chemical imbalance is there, but I think it must be. I do believe it is that chemical imbalance has come about from things that are inherently me. So the low self-esteem, which has been an issue since before I can even imagine, like the inability or complete fear of confrontation, which leads to me getting put into situations like I really don't want to be in, like
going to the cinema or Steve Bemmer when you don't want to.
Do you think that anxiety and depression manifest themselves differently in men compared to women?
No,
Probably not. No.
No, I think
I think what we've found out from most of the stories here that it comes from, a lot of them come from work and being unhappy in certain aspects, and work is most of our lives, right? And like we all talk about how we don't like our jobs and they can get you down.
And money.
Well, work goes
But yeah,
hand in hand
that's
with
what I
money,
mean.
and it takes away your time from your social aspects. It takes away from your family and friends, and when that gets worse and worse and worse, like Rob, when you said when you had all that time off, you didn't really know what to do with it anymore. I guess you'd almost, in my head, when you told that story, I felt like you'd gone so far down the road, you'd lost everything that you were before work, because work became your everything. And then when you didn't have the work, you were like, well, what am I now? That's sort of the way
Pretty
I
much.
read what you had there.
Yeah.
And then Chesney, you said about you lost your tools, and you were like, well, I couldn't even go back to work. I couldn't make money. Because then, like Adam said, money can then help you get out of these situations. If you had the money, you can go away, you can go travelling. The only sort of difference is Lloyd has said it's not work, it's internal as well.
You know the movie Inside Out? You know what it's about?
Yeah.
It's about emotions and brains, and then you have sadness.
Who do you see yourself, like who do you resemble the most?
Anger.
Yeah, I'm anger as well. But actually, no, I'm more like I'm not sadness. I'm between sadness and anger. I just don't care.
I am the girl playing ice hockey. It's all fun, and then as it's taken away, it's all sad.
I thought you were supposed to be one of the people inside the
I'm
brain.
all of them.
Well, I guess you literally are, yeah. But
I can't wait to go to Inside Out 2, to be
I'm
honest.
fucking
that was a great
yo-yo.
film.
Look, in the new one, they've got all the new ones in there as well. I think depression is actually in the new one.
Anxiety's in it.
Yeah.
That's it. Is she called anxious or is she called
Anxiety.
Is she called anxiety?
The blue one.
That's
Who-
sadness.
That's sadness.
He's touching all the balls.
Yeah. That,
Hey, where's she in my life?
so there's joy, she's green.
She was a bitch.
Then you got
Yeah.
anger, that's red. You
Yeah.
got sadness, that's blue, and then I'm sure there's two.
Purple. There's disgust. Green.
Disgust.
Joy.
Yellow.
Sadness.
Blue. Anger.
Fear.
Red.
Fear.
Fear.
And anger.
No,
Yeah.
I don't really fear.
What? Oh. Not being scared is half a battle, isn't it?
Yeah. No
What
fear.
are you afraid of?
Do you really want to know?
Yeah.
This is so self-centered. I
I'm not pleasuring a woman enough.
fear. Yeah, just.
I like the word enough.
Going to circle back, and then Lloyd, I don't know if you want to discuss it or not, but how were you actually diagnosed with depression?
So it happened a couple of years ago, but it's probably ongoing far longer than that. As I said, Tash, my girlfriend, told me for ages, and she's sort of had some people close to her who've been diagnosed in her life, and she would insist, Lloyd, I think you're depressed. Lloyd, I think you're depressed. No, I'm not. I'm just sad. I'm just tired. I just can't be bothered. I'm not depressed. I didn't want that stigma of depression, and I continued to fight it right until I couldn't anymore, really. So I was chatting to my dad. I can't remember what I was chatting to my dad about, but it was coming back to this issues of self-esteem, and it's always been an issue since I was a kid, probably since the bullying, really. And he asked me to speak to this therapist, and my dad's a GP in Wales. This therapist he knew. He said, "I'll pay for you just to speak to this person." And I genuinely, this is not me being funny, I genuinely thought I was going to pay someone £65 an hour to say really nice things to me. And she was brutal. Like, she was
Did
absolutely
you get to lay on one of those like?
brutal. No, it was virtual.
Oh,
It was virtual.
Even worse.
that's even worse. Did you get a
like,
discount?
She's just like, so why'd you do that? You realise you're just hurting yourself too. I was like, this isn't nice. I'm meant to feel good after, but no, it was pretty hard going. And she used to send me these these sheets that you'd circle. You know, it's like on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, how does this feel? How much energy do you have? And I answered it completely honestly. And then the next session comes up, and she's like, you know, your scores are like off the scale for depression. I was like, nah. And she said, no, it really is, and I have to insist you go to your GP. So it was only when she presented me with those numbers of that actual science that I was like, okay, I can't really deny that now then, can I? Because I answered those questions as honestly as I could, and if anything, I thought I'd answered them a little bit because I didn't want the
You thought you were being
diagnosis of
generous,
depression.
did you?
I genuinely thought, yeah, no, I'm fine. So what probably was a 7, I was circled as a 6 or a 5. And it was at that point I was just like, oh shit, okay, maybe I have. And so I went to the GP and explained the symptoms, and then they goes, yeah, you've got depression. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm starting to accept that. And started me on some medication. Was awful for like a week. Oh, jeez, the anxiety, the shakes for a week, because you're messing with your, basically, it's called citalopram, and you're messing with your, what's the word, endorphins.
Okay.
It's just completely fiddling with them.
Serotonin.
So I was like,
and things.
serotonin, yeah, that's the one. Not endorphins.
No,
Endorphins
endorphins are the correct term for them, yeah.
and I was about, I remember sleepwalking. I just, like, my head was all over the place and I nearly gave up, and I persisted. And it was all right. I ended up having to double the dose following a review 6 weeks later. And I fell into that trap again of thinking, no, I'm fine. Because it's weird. They don't make you feel good. They make you feel less shit. So I just thought, these aren't doing anything for me. I still feel crap.
Lots of people do it. Say that, don't they? They say like they think they're going to suddenly feel like it's all rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah, exactly.
And then actually they just don't. So then they want to come off them. Then when they come off them, they get worse. And then
I genuinely thought it was going to be like a life hack. Like, I am now going to be an efficient machine. I'm going to get everything. I'm going to go to the gym every morning. You know, I've got the serotonin. I can, like it was a superpower. And it's not. It just takes that edge off. So I stopped taking them. And then I realised I really shouldn't have stopped taking them. And even now, it's not easy to keep going. I'm not good at doing, say, I don't have that oomph. I'm not good at making positive decisions, positive changes for myself. So I don't reorder my prescription. Tash sets an alarm for it, and then she tells me to reorder it.
I'm really surprised that's a sign of depression.
That's just for me. I mean, maybe...
Yeah, because obviously I don't really know much about it, but, like, I guess with me, like, I don't want to get up, and generally don't want to get up and go to, like, if it's something I don't want to do, like, I don't want to get up and go to work, I don't want to get up and go to the gym, but, like, if someone said, oh, like, we're going on holiday, I'm going to get up and go to it.
but you do get up and go to the work.
Yeah, so I guess maybe that is what the
That's
difference
the difference
is. Yeah,
is-
so for you, it's constant, it's everything in life, whereas for me, it's just, I don't really
And I think it's very fair and human. Lots of us are going to have days when we don't want to get up and go to work because we're a bit tired and we're a bit overworked and we're a little bit overwhelmed. That's part of human everyday life. And when we talk about anxiety, a little bit of anxiety is good. Like, humans perform best when they are slightly anxious and they are slightly stressed. But it becomes a point where it becomes too much. Lots of people will have those feelings. It's just about, you will still overcome them. Or you might have one morning where you're a bit late getting to work and stuff, and then that's it for the week, the fortnight or the month. Whereas other people just don't. They can't talk themselves into that situation of actually doing it. And
Do you think that's reason want to say I'm depressed to someone, because then
They're a burden.
it feels like
yeah,
you're a burden?
but that's
to
what I
that
said at the
person.
beginning, isn't it? Is when people then say that to people, everyone feels like they then have to do something about it.
Yeah.
Because if you said, "Oh, I've got a cold," somebody would be like, "Oh, do you want some cold and flu tabs, or can I get some chicken soup?" Because that's what human nature is. We're nice people. So the moment you say to somebody, "I've got X," they're going to say, "Well, can I help you?" But you don't want that necessarily.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely a thing. Yeah.
So are there any unique challenges that men face when dealing with anxiety and depression?
Can I ask one question just quickly? Something that I just reminded me. I'd asked the group because it's something I wasn't aware of. And has anybody ever had what's called intrusive thoughts, where you're in that sort of position where you feel you're lowest, you're really not good, you're usually alone, and you just get not an urge, but the thought of doing something
Like if
that
you're
would harm
standing
yourself.
at the edge of a train track.
Exactly that one.
I have that
classic.
quite a lot. I'm like,
So the only
what would
reason I
happen
bring
if
it
I
up
jumped now?
is because I want people to know, and if anyone's listening, it is incredibly common. It is incredibly normal, and there's nothing wrong with you. But it is a very, very common thing for those sort of negative thoughts to penetrate you sometimes. When the train is the classic one, you just see it coming in, and you just sort of feel, I could jump for that. You don't. You have no urge to. You're not going to. You know you're not going to. But that thought is there. And that used to terrify me. Absolutely terrify me. And it was only when I speaking to someone about it, they went, yeah, that's incredibly common. I was like, oh. And that immediately made me feel better.
I think
So-
my like fear of being dead stops that happening. Like it's a bit of an eternal battle. Do it. No, don't do it. You'll miss out. No, do it. You'll enjoy it. No, don't do it. You won't. You'll miss out.
Enjoy it. Anyone enjoys it.
So you've never thought about a way that you would kill yourself?
No. When you were going for intrusive thoughts, I think like, you know, what if I did X or what if I did Y? But it's never.
No.
It's never harming the body. It might be.
Do you ever
know,
play
whatever
it through though? Like for me, it's like if I was to play it, like with the train one, for example, like that's like just a stand one. If I'm just standing there, I'm not going to do it. But if I was going to try and kill myself, it would be when a freight train comes because they're going faster at night, so they don't see
the stress
it.
on the driver.
Well, no, but then it'd be dark. But then I start thinking, oh, well, how would he feel? So I would never do it because I'd play it through in my head, and there's too many factors that would prevent me from actually going through with it.
For
I
me,
have thought
I guess-
about like that. You think, oh, maybe I'll drown myself and I'll tie a rock, but then it's like, oh, but it's 2 minutes of. You want it to be quick and sweet. So there's never like for me, never a good answer.
For me, no, it's almost like an instinct. It's not something I think about. It's not an active thought.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just suddenly it's there and then it's gone.
It's probably one of the hardest things for you to ever grasp about somebody else, isn't it? It's like I could never understand the need for somebody to do it. I can't imagine myself in a position.
We go back to men should be strong, resolute. You shouldn't be
The main income earner, those
Yeah.
kind
Provider.
of
the
provider.
alpha,
yeah.
well, the
provider.
alpha. Sure.
And with the recession, with COVID, with people having lost their jobs, I do believe that when that breadwinner role is taken away from men or from people, it significantly affects men more because of the pressures of society that you're not providing for your family. So it actually, once you say what it does, doesn't actually surprise me.
So
for young men with young families that are subject to it.
So 3 in 1 suicides. Every 3 suicides to. I can't get the ratio right.
1 in 3 suicides.
No. So 3 in 4 suicides between the ages of 28 to 45 are men.
There you go. See, I didn't know that statistic, but that's when you hear those numbers, it just feels
75%.
75% of suicides are men aged between 28 and 45.
Yeah, so those that have reached a point in their career where they're going okay, but then it comes the extra pressure of being in that role. Those that are in the position where they have probably young families and are the provider or one of the providers in a position.
We've been a bit too niche. It can be so many different factors, and it's not just about not being able to
No,
provide.
but there must be something that makes it
Yes,
statistically
but we can't
significant.
hypothesize forever about all
No,
the
we
different
can't.
ways that it could be. I mean, it's just we know that we need to talk about things a lot more open, and men are worse at talking about, and that is probably where the statistic comes from, where it is worse for men because we don't open up
We
enough.
don't seek help.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing.
I'll tell you one thing I think that's quite difficult is you very much sort of thought, oh yeah, I'll get to this point. You'll get to this point. I'll buy a house. I'll meet
Set
a
the
girl.
milestones.
I'll have a child. Like I'll be at a certain point in my working life, and then it gets to a point where you're there and you're like, this should feel better, and I don't know.
I have that now,
Why?
actually, I think. I
Like-
have that now a little bit.
It's a bit. I don't know. I've reached these milestones now. What else is there?
Yeah, what's
There
the next goal?
Should be something
You should
else,
feel
and I think-
fulfilled.
Yeah, and I think that lack of fulfillment can be quite harmful.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because I think I have a little bit of that now, where from an outside looking in, you're like, yeah, I own, not rent, I own a property. I have a really secure job. I have a nice car, loads of friends. Then you're like...
You've still got the BMW, haven't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't remind me how the nice one got stolen.
Sorry, yeah, that's I was just trying to lighten the mood slightly.
No, I love the BMW. It's
Yeah, but it's
really,
still a
really-
BMW.
It's still a sick car and it's still really fast
I
and
overtook
sexy.
it in my Yaris once.
Yeah, I was reversing, he was going forwards.
You weren't even there. You weren't even in the car.
Oh.
It was
a
stolen one.
It was a stolen one.
It was your old one, yeah.
Yeah, it was actually by my house.
Lloyd saw him drive off, and he was like, "Yeah, I can recommend it."
Weird though, because it was full of these old tools. So weird.
That's not a very nice name for him. But no, I definitely think there is a thing, like, is it called fallacy something?
Pathetic fantasy.
No.
Self-fulfilling prophecy. No, that's not.
There is a term for it. Like when you have a goal
Phallic.
and then you get there. It's like Olympians get it, right? Where their whole life they've been training for getting a gold medal. They get the gold medal and they're like,
Oh, what's next?
Yeah.
what do I do now? Like, I've spent my last 20 years doing this and things.
Platinum medal.
Yeah. Well, if it was
You
a
build
thing.
it up in your head.
Yeah, you do. And I
it's
think that's probably that thing is,
the
I'm going to build it,
anticlimactic.
I'm going to get there. And then you're like, what do I do next? Like,
Can I just say, I think Rob made a really good point there. Are we going to be able to cut out Stephen Pearce saying phallic just in the middle of it? Or is that just going to remain?
No, it stays
Alright,
because
fine.
if you notice in the pod, Stephen always says something really weird.
like a little weird comment.
And
under
then
his breath.
it's really quiet, but
Some
I
people
always pick it up.
Anyone out there with a good set of headphones is going to know Stephen Pearce.
So I got a question for you, Rob. Going back to what I was saying earlier about self-esteem, and Ches brought up my dyspraxia and my parents sought help for me. That was awful. I'm 34 now, so I was 16 at the time doing my GCSEs. And there's a sign. I want to know what you do now in school for people who have extra time in exams.
Laugh at them.
Okay.
No, sorry, I don't laugh at them. I don't. That's really bad.
All the other people laugh at them.
All the other people.
No, I was fucking jealous, man. Let me sit there, it's half an hour. I want an extra half an hour.
Imagine though, this is what the
see,
board...
I disagree. Like when you're in
Get
an
out.
English exam for like
3 hours. I don't want
rounds,
another half an hour.
and then and then I'm like, I get out. I'm like, all right, good luck.
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
nice,
Enjoy
have a nice
extra
40
hour.
extra
Yeah.
minutes,
Yeah.
I once asked if I could go half an hour earlier instead of half an hour later. And they said no, because they didn't trust me not to share the exam. What the hell am I going to share? I'm in an exam room on my own. Because what it used to say was, just remember
the
it.
time and the next time.
Start.
was- Yeah.
No, it wasn't even. I went to a small school.
Oh, right.
Start 2:00, end 4:00. Lloyd 4:30.
Oh, it didn't.
That's what it said on the board.
Oh.
And they put me at the back.
That's fair enough.
Well, yeah.
With that hair.
It was worse back then, mate. And they put me at the back, and I won't say the name,
With those arms.
but the
When you're throwing your pen around, you're dyspraxia.
dyspraxic, not Parkinson's.
Is that on your dribble loads? That has to get you a bib when you're doing your exam.
Lloyd's dropped his pen. His arms come out of his socket.
Bloody, someone put my shoulder back in again. Biggest pen up while you're
Can I
there.
just say, this is awful. Side note. But I was on internet at work the other day, and this advertising came up. Come and see the Parkinson's choir. I started chuckling to myself and just thought that's a lot of vibrato in that choir.
Would you say you feel less? As in,
Not
a
just-
feeling doesn't resonate the same that it used to?
Um,
I don't get that
sadness.
excited.
No, I don't
about
spike
something.
as high. So I definitely have a narrower range of like up and down. But I think that comes more with just being a bit older, I think, and like I still really enjoy things, don't get me wrong. Like when I went on holiday to Germany with Gare in October, that was amazing. I had the sickest time. It was so good from start to finish. But I don't get you don't get over the top excited anymore about anything. But I also don't get over the top sad about anything. Like if shit things happen now, I'm just like it's an inconvenience, or it's like a huffy moment, or I just feel like the balance is way more towards the middle than against the kid. Like I'm not kicking and screaming my head off at unnecessary things because I feel like I've been wronged, or not shouting my head off at things, or
So I'd say that I've always been quite
you're
I've
fairly
always
stable
been
in the middle. Oh, no,
I
I
think quite
very much was peak to peak.
I'm quite practical thinking, but it does make me sometimes think I should act and behave in a different way. Especially like when Amy gets super excited about like our weekend away, she is like on top of the world, and then afterwards she's like said she was quite low. For me, the whole time I was like, this is nice, I was enjoying it, and then I went home and I was like, I'm home now, and I've got work, and I've got a busy week, and I'm always like that. But sometimes I feel like Adam was like, do you have those? Even when I was younger, I never really had those high highs and those low low. I'm very just.
Always been fairly
plain
calm and
sailing.
steady in the middle. Do you think
It's quite boring though.
that's what I'm
isn't it?
saying? Do you think that's calling you boring? Do you think that is a bit boring? Like, would you rather be more yo-yo?
Not really, because I've seen how that. But then, like, there are times when everyone gets super excited about things, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I see everyone else
What
like
about
that, and I can't.
when
really.
you scored that
Yeah,
winner?
like people say I'm a bit of a Scrooge because Christmas I just doesn't really like festivities and stuff.
About Christmases and stuff. Me and you didn't we in the car? I think we talked about our Christmas routines and things.
Yeah,
about how the sort of the upbeatness around.
I enjoy like seeing my family and stuff, but like it doesn't. I don't change. So it's like with like I guess when I do have like times when I'm a bit anxious, I'm very quick to be able to, like, in my head be like, I can get through this. I can very quickly stop that feeling.
What makes you think that you could get through it?
Just because I can think my way through a problem, I think, and I think nothing really. I can't solve anything.
Maybe like the fact you've maybe done through it before, or you've felt that way before, and so you know how to maybe manage that emotion.
No, okay. So one example, I was going in for one of my final exams, and I hadn't slept, so I was anxious on the build-up, and I hadn't slept, and I went into the exam, and I was on like 2 pints of Red Bull, and I was literally shaking. I was jittery. I walked in, half an hour of writing, and I walked out, and I just went, oh, fuck it, I won't be in engineering, and I'll just change career. I literally then and there, I'd been like, I don't care anymore. And then I got my result, and I'd passed somehow, like 40%. I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll carry on being an engineer then.
Mental.
I was very quick just to be like, I can find something else.
That's so like.
See, I can't. I see. There's the thing, but I try and put myself in your positions. But if anything, it has more. I get more questions. I'm like, but why? Why couldn't you
ask?
You know, I mean, like I have like body issues, like where I'm like, oh, I don't like the way I look. I don't think it'll ever cripple me to the point where I don't want to go outside. Like, I don't want to take my top off, but if Adam's like, we're going to the beach, and he takes his top off, I'll take my top off then. I'm never like, I just sort of, I don't
It's
really...
never quite crippling enough.
Yeah, maybe I don't care enough. I don't know if it's a lack of care. I don't know what it is really. It's quite hard for me to...
It's like not feeling it.
I don't think
and
I feel.
I think what I find difficult is get on with it. But I find myself like an emotion that I had when I was a child. If I went for like a walk in like the woods or like a walk in like a field when I was younger, I used to really feel it. Whereas now, if I do that,
What did you feel?
I don't know. It was just
Cold.
sort of like a.
Or are you saying you feel it now, like you think back and you think you felt it? Or do you genuinely remember the feeling?
It's not the same feeling that I had.
I feel number.
Yeah, the joy that I had then, I'm like, I don't have that.
So I think that explains a lot of my symptoms. The first thing I think I felt when I started that was I'd forgotten how to enjoy the little things. I didn't get any joy out of the small things, like.
And you like, need to. You need little moments, like.
Just for the podcast, Steve is pointing at his penis. When I said
I meant yours, but
my penis is over here, mate.
Yeah,
and it's two hands.
It's a sledgehammer. Pointed at your penis.
I should have pointed down towards your crotch.
We've
yes,
already
I'm so
established
sorry.
I use two hands to masturbate.
I wish I was wearing less tight
Whose
trousers.
hands they are changes on a daily basis. But that was
over 18.
Yeah. Yes. There's a line.
It's given.
That's getting cut. So remember when the thing, you reminded me of something, it's really embarrassing. I remember being so excited for stuff to come out as a kid. Like
midnight release of games.
Oh, yeah.
You should go to them.
I used to love them. I used to love to
do FIFA tournaments.
I worked loads of them at Tesco.
We did FIFA tournaments in game in Carmarthen. So we'd go there like 10 o'clock at night. They'd do a whole FIFA tournament. If you won the FIFA tournament, you get it for free. And so you'd be there until and then you dart back as quick as you could, and then you'd just be on FIFA.
Remember those days?
But McDonald's as well. And I'm using that other takeaways. This used to be such a treat. Like, was that for you today? Just for context, Ches and Adam had a McDonald's before we got here.
I did.
Did you like? Were you like? I'm buzzing for this. I'm so excited.
No,
you have
That's
to.
the thing. I like. Do you
have
remember
to
McDonald's on a Saturday afternoon
Yeah.
after football or rugby? It was the like. I used to get so much joy from that crap little toy that came in that box. I probably shouldn't have because I was 23, but there's it's not the point. But I remember making a song up about the Age of Mythology expansion pack. It wasn't even a full release game, and I know I'm not going to sing it. I don't Age of Mythology, the Titans expansion pack. That's it.
that's going to be our advert.
I love how you went, don't make me.
And then you do it.
I just literally went straight into it.
But like with
Comedy
regards to like McDonald's and stuff, you have to understand. For me and you, it was a lot different for us to have something like that because the closest one was 23 miles away, where we would actually get that. Whereas these guys would have had McDonald's just around the corner.
No, but
there's five in the
I
radius.
did also. I
stuff.
eat a lot of fast food, and so it doesn't really excite me that much. But I know probably when I was younger and had my mum and dad had to buy my food,
I was more excited.
So a bit like Saturday, you were so excited because it was a free meal.
That was the judge's order, wasn't it? Mr. and Mrs. Benwell, you do have to buy him food.
You have to feed your child.
You have to feed your child.
Not just Stephen. Adam needs food as
And let's
well.
not get it
just sitting
twisted.
there rubbing my hands.
It was always feeding Adam. It was never feeding Stephen.
I don't know. I just don't feel like I get that buzzing from
I'm
me
the same.
anymore. Like,
What about
Wales
when you buy
Internationals,
a
Rugby
new
International?
pair of Nike Air Forces?
So,
I don't care for clothes. I haven't bought anything.
We're asking Lloyd here because
They
Lloyd and I have a
do-
little fantasy about Nike
they
trainers.
do bring you some joy. You do get, but it's not. It's joy and there's excitement. I don't feel I get excited for things.
What about if Wales won the World Cup in anything?
Again, there's kind of a different. I used to be like the Wales, like the WRE website used to be on my home page on my laptop. I used to be so excited for Wales to play rugby, like so excited. I'd plan it all out, and now I'm so. It's kind of reversed the other way. I'm so critical of the Welsh team, as Ches will tell you, that I don't get that excited anymore. Like
It's interesting.
it's almost like will them to fail because I've been so critical. I don't know. It's, as I say, it's really difficult for me to get my head around because I'm currently trying to get my head around it on a daily basis. So
How can men identify when it's time to seek professional help?
Seeking professional is a tricky one. For me, that's a really hard one to actually answer because I've never been in that sort of position. But like Rob, your story earlier, why didn't you, after being for so long, and you said you hadn't actually recognised it yet, why did you not get to the point where you, did you need someone else to maybe point it out, like Tash would do with you?
Yeah,
or?
I think that probably would have helped. But then there wasn't anyone necessarily here to see it. The only
Just
person that would have
Martin.
seen it would be Martin. And he had a lot of his own
Yeah.
stuff to deal with at the same time, personal issues and things. So I think, yeah, definitely you need your friends to maybe suggest, not make you, but suggest
If
that you should go and look.
If they're asking you quite often, like how you feeling, or if someone, I guess, has noticed a change in your, what's the word, character.
Because a bit like you, I would have gone, either put myself in the denial phase and say it wasn't happening at all, or not have the get up and go to actually then go and do it. Like even have booked the appointment to then just roll my arse out of bed and go would have been really hard. And that's why I benefited a lot from that, because they were phone call sort of appointments and diagnoses-ish. I use that term very loosely because it wasn't a medical diagnosis, it was just for work. But that's why I valued the phone call. But there is an app that's been advertised on lots of podcasts and YouTube channels recently. Their whole aim is to provide therapy to you quickly via an app. So you download the app and then I don't quite know how it works, I haven't actually explored it, but the idea is you can then go onto it and you can have like a 20-minute therapy session.
I take it
counselling
with a
session.
therapist.
Yeah, with trained therapists, and they will try and match you up with a therapist that has dealt with people who've had similar things before, rather than just giving you a random therapist. They try and match you up with the right one. So it's cool.
Is it BetterHelp?
Yeah, BetterHelp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's called BetterHelp.
And then it goes back to then you can do it in your own time from your own
Yeah.
home, and you don't actually like if they just said like maybe they give you some advice or they say to keep an eye on it, you can then you don't have to tell everyone else. It doesn't have to become a big thing where like if I was going to go to therapy, I think I would tell someone like, oh, by the way, I'm having this. But if you did it at home on your own, you could just sort of be like, well, I've done
bit
that
more
now.
quiet and secret.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and then if it comes out that you need more, then you've already gone past that sort of bridge. It's quite that sounds like a good idea.
It's really interesting. What advice could we give friends and family members who want to support?
The first thing I'd always say is you're never alone. People who may think they never are. Other people in the world, more than likely people you know, will have either felt or are feeling the same as you. And it's really hard for people to know that and appreciate that, but it is the case.
What barriers prevent men from seeking professional help for mental health issues? And how can we overcome these barriers?
Kick that barrier down, walk on through it with a smile on your face and a spring in your step.
Wow.
I think Steve just fixed mental health.
Yeah,
that was
Wow.
absolutely lyrical.
yeah.
That is how I would sort of approach things, is mentally battle it myself.
Yeah.
And it hasn't, and it's not advice in any way, shape or form, but that's what works for me. And like having time to myself works for me. Like me and Adam had this conversation earlier. He was like, he hugged me and he was like, oh, do you like it when I hug you?
Don't make me sound weird.
No, but he's like that. He's a very affectionate and he feels emotions a lot. You can tell, like, sometimes your eyes water when you talk about certain things. And
do you like it when I hug you?
This pussy just fucking around.
no, but yeah, you are a melt. But like you
I'll
sort of
fucking weigh you in.
yeah, that's fair. No, but you gave me a hug and like I said like he was do you not like it? And I think you go. I said not when you do it like that.
Stop cupping my balls.
Yeah, that's not a hug. That's
Squeeze.
That's too much fun.
Yeah. Also, Adam, I'm trying to shower.
Before I lock the door. He
There's
does
always
have
a way.
He does have the skeleton key. Yeah. No, but there was an occasion where
Skylight's open.
Spider-Man.
just falls on me.
Hey, Stephen. Hello. God, that went off piste.
No, but I was going to say that for me, I just want to be alone. I don't want anyone to come near me or touch me. I just want to.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I'm like, I've done it before. I'm sorry, like, I didn't want at that moment in time. I had to be alone, and then I get through it. I don't want Adam trying to give me a hug every second.
Yeah,
because he's not a great hugger in general.
Yeah, and he smells a bit.
He does smell, and that's the problem.
That's poor. I'm a great hugger.
Yeah, you do smell.
Yeah, you are a good.
I do smell.
Yeah,
I like it.
But he's a great hugger.
Post-football hugs, not my favourite.
Yeah.
I love a post-football
But
hug.
pre-football hug,
Yeah.
that's my favourite.
Oh, fuck you all. I'm not.
No, the hug on arrival,
okay.
I really enjoy those. It's just
Forget it, mate. You can have a handshake now.
Can I just say I've said nothing? Do I still
Yeah,
have a hug?
I said I like it, and you spoke about everybody.
I'm not going to lie to you, Lloyd. I'm a bit salty at the moment. At this moment in time, you're on the list too.
So, what steps can be taken to encourage just everyone really to have a more open conversation about their own mental health?
I would listen to this podcast.
It's not a so
Great,
it's not. There's no easy
I've
answer
listened
to
to
that
the
question.
outtakes of this podcast.
They are. I would subscribe for £4.99 a month.
There's no easy answer to that question because you're
The
not going to fix
outtakes.
it overnight. It's just you've just got to persist, and there's just got to be more awareness out there that it's just talk.
I think we've come a long way in the last 10 years.
Oh,
We've got a
100%.
hell of a long way still to go. I really do. I would say probably people in their 20s now are the most likely to talk about their anxieties or stresses or depressions.
Yeah.
But we have got a long way to go. I don't think there's, like you said, there's not an overnight fix. It's continuing to do what we've been doing well over the last 10 years, but more and better.
So, I know, Adam, you wanted to talk about social media and how that's perceived with anxiety and depression.
Yeah, so I think it's quite important at the moment, at this day and age, to sort of recognise that social media isn't always good. Quite often, anxiety, depression can come off the back of that. You see someone doing great on Instagram, living their best life. You start thinking, oh, we're the same age. I should be doing that. I should be feeling this way. These people are putting up pictures that they want everyone to see, and I think it's hung up on the fact that I know, obviously, from when I've been acting, if I see other people who my age that I've worked with, some of them might be doing a film, and I start to think, oh, I'm really jealous of that. I really wish I could do that. Maybe I should be sort of there. But then I think, well, maybe I haven't actually seen them post very much in 6 months, and in reality they could have just been sat at home for 6 months not having anything, and now they're showing their break. Do you know what I mean? I think it's social media is fantastic to chat to people, to other side to it, that anyone can talk to you, anyone can put you down. If it gets too much, sometimes I just delete my apps for a bit, just go quiet for a bit. It really does help me. Sometimes I just go off my phone for a bit. So yeah, I think if there's anything that is worrying you about social media, then sometimes just take a step back and delete the apps. And yeah, I like to think you'd feel better for it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. I think time away from your phone is really important, really, really important, because it might not even be, unaspirational or comparing yourself to your friends. It can be anything on your phone. It could be toxic if you get it in the wrong way or you see too much of it. and me and you were talking about playing golf, haven't we, Lloyd? And one of the reasons I absolutely love playing golf is my phone gives me a bag, and I go out and I get some fresh air, and I see my friends, and we play golf for 3-4 hours in hopefully some sunshine, and have a nice round of golf. And you forget all about your phone. I don't pick it up once really when I'm playing for those 4 hours, and you come back and you think, oh, what was I even fussing about or worried about?
Yeah, you're in a world where
you're in a whole different world. It really has
nothing matters.
Absolutely, and it's such a nice feeling just to be out so unattached.
It is interesting how like behaviours that reinforce depression are the behaviours that you do when you're depressed, like going on your phone, scrolling through things. That does not help my depression at all, but it's what I do because I haven't got the strength to do anything else. And I remember my phone got stolen. I remember I was forced to bring a book, to go on the train because I wanted something to do for 20 minutes on the train. It was so nice.
Great. We have 10 minutes in our day, our school day, which is called Drop Everything and Read. And we don't teach any lessons. There's no walking around the school. Everyone gets a book out. Teachers, kids, all staff. It's great.
It was just a revelation. And then as soon as my phone got back, I went back on it.
I love reading my book on the way to work and on the way back to work. That is my time to escape.
Dangerous.
Get ready for a pulse-pounding journey into the heart of mystery with Alan Burrow's latest addition to the Ironheart series, Rain God. Join tech hunter India Bentley and her salvaged military android on a spine-tingling adventure in the jungle metropolis of Sing City. As they seek buyers for rare old world tech, India is propelled deeper into the jungle, chasing the guidance of a blind prophet obsessed with ancient secrets. But nature itself seems to rebel against them, throwing freak weather and danger at every turn. What lurks within the depths of the jungle, causing these strange electrical disturbances? Mysterious tribes, a mythical lord of rain, and unanswered questions await as India plunges further into the unknown. The truth she uncovers might hold the key to humanity's survival, or its ultimate downfall. Prepare for a thrilling ride through a world where danger lurks at every corner. Rain God is a heart-stopping action thriller that will grip you from page 1 until the unforgettable climax. For fans of The Last of Us, Lara Croft and Mad Max, Rain God is a must-read. Dive into this gripping tale where every page brings a new revelation and every chapter propels you deeper into a story world you will never forget. Don't miss out. Grab your copy of Rain God now. Available at all major bookstores and online retailers. Join India Bentley on her epic quest and brace yourself for a journey that will leave you breathless.
One thing that I really like is, you know, when you break down in a car.
Oh,
Sorry.
right. Okay. I was like, on the mental health website, that's strong.
When you're driving, like you blow a tyre. Like me and Chloe did this a couple of weeks ago. We were driving back from Fort Park. The tyre blew, and so we had to pull over on the side of the M25. And I always find I quite enjoy that time where you're just sitting and waiting. It doesn't matter where you're going. It doesn't matter what time of the day it is. You have to just sit and wait for that recovery van.
You've got no choice in the matter.
You've got no choice. And it just takes all control out of your hands and you just sit there and just chat to whoever you're with.
That is really interesting, actually. Yeah, I've never thought of that.
And I think,
to be honest.
and that's where I always think all the worries that you have, fate or whatever, your car breaks down. That worry that you had don't even matter anymore.
Nothing you can do about it.
You're sat here for the next 3 hours while you're waiting. And I think that's something quite
nice about that.
Yeah, like peaceful with.
As long as you're with somebody, you don't be sat on your own.
Yeah, but even then, like, I can chill.
Did you mind it?
I think phones as well. The other thing about phones too with social media, you're contactable all the time.
Yeah.
Every single person is look. During this podcast, people have been trying to get hold of us, and you're expected to be on call, for a better word, all the time. And I think that's quite damaging to sort of, that you can never truly be left alone as long as you got your phone on you. And when my phone got nicked, one of the really nice things was like, people used to come up to me like daily. I texted you, I've called you, you haven't answered. And I used to say, oh yeah, my phone got stolen. And it was a genuine excuse.
Yeah.
Whereas they were so horrible about like me not having, you haven't answered my text. Just that pressure is on us all the time to always be available and always be replying.
So as a final recap of what we've spoken about today is that everyone's open to anxiety and depression, and we all deal with it in different ways. And the best way to deal with it is to seek help. And if you do want to seek help, you can look in the show notes below, or just reach out to a loved one. And this is usually the part of the show where we talk about the Old Wilsonians Football Team, but no fixture this weekend, so we're going to move straight over to Rob Benson.
Just a final note on the pod this week is it is Grief Awareness Week, running from the 2nd to the 8th. We would normally do a cheers, but that feels a little inappropriate, so we'll just say seek it out, have a little look online.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Not So Old Boys podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. And also, don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and content. You can find us on Instagram at Not So Old Boys. And finally, if you have any questions or suggestions for future episodes, please send us a message. We love hearing from you.